speaking of the right-wing assault on folks who are LGBTQ, and really, I think, and I may be wrong, that at least electorally speaking, the Republicans recognize it is not a winner. In terms of the right-wing conservative mouth breathers who dominate right-wing media, it is still going strong. Here is Tucker Carlson with the Chaya Raichik. She is the bigot who runs the Libs of TikTok channel, I guess. And look, she's a fundamentalist. I don't know much of her background. We'll look more into it. But is she a fundamentalist?
Chabad?
Yeah, she's a Chabad.
Yeah.
These are fundamentalist Jews who believe the Bible has been given to us by an old man up in the sky. And despite the fact that the old man in the sky didn't say had any issues necessarily with gay people, they've decided that he did. And therefore, they just basically promote all of these homophobic tropes. And there's no difference with that, what she's doing. Listen to this.
What is going on here? Do you have any theories?
I think there's something so unique about the LGBTQ community has become this cult, and it's so captivating, and it pulls people in so strongly.
Pause it for 1 second. I mean, the idea of someone coming from Chabad talking about cults.
Tulsi on here too.
I mean, the idea of someone coming from Chabad and talking about cults is it is what is known as projection. It is taking their understanding. I mean, yeah, very much so. I mean, look, if you're not aware of who Chabad is, they dress in the same way that they have dressed for multiple centuries. Children, adults, all black suits, white shirt, wide-rimmed black hat. They have rules about where you're allowed to shave. They have rules about what stuff you need to wear every day. I have no problem with this. Sometimes they'll come up and they'll say, "Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish?" And I will shake the lulav and praise the etrog. Sometimes I'll let them blow the shofar for me. They will do this on the street. They are compelled to do it. It is a mitzvah, and they're sent out. They don't proselytize, but they're sent out to do these mitzvahs, and they got to do a certain amount of mitzvahs before they get home. And they have rabbis who they think are the next, Messiah, the second coming. Moshiach is coming. They have vans that drive around Brooklyn announcing that Moshiach is coming with a picture of the latest guy who's going to be the Messiah. Just to be clear, who she's talking about is cult-like. All right?
What is going on here? Do you have any theories?
I think there's something so unique about the LGBTQ community has become this cult, and it's so captivating, and it pulls people in so strongly, unlike anything we've ever seen. And they brainwash people to join, and they convince them of all of these things. And it's really, really hard to get out of it. It's really difficult. And there are studies on this. Like there's been a lot of reporting on this about people, parents who are like, my child is starting to say, that they're non-binary or transgender or whatever. And what do I do? How do I stop this? And it's really, really difficult.
Okay, pause it. First of all, she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. Wow. She doesn't know what, she's just spouting all this stuff off and has no idea what she's talking about. She has no experience with LGBT folks. The idea that a parent, that you're getting groomed from a reading session at the library. Listen, I got news for you. If it was that easy to inculcate my kids to go to the library and read books by just having one transvestite or one transgender person or one cross-dressing person read a book to them, guess what I would be doing? I'd be going to the library every week. She is talking the only thing I can imagine, to the extent that she's had any experience in this, is that she has a relative, a cousin, maybe a brother or family member, or somebody who was gay and left Chabad lifestyle because they want to be able to live an actual life. And that's where the parents have no opportunity to deal with gays. They are so sequestered. They are so sequestered in their world.
Right.
The idea that, if there is a gay member of Chabad, it's proof that is absolutely, it's proof of the exact opposite. Nobody's inculcating anybody.
Yeah. That her language is so first of all captivating. I've never thought that way about LGBT stuff.
In FUBAR, Stephen Sherrill and I wrote about a guy who was a Christian fundamentalist at the time, talking about gay sex as like heroin. So addictive. Draws you in. Maybe we're seeing somebody just struggling with their own.
It's hard. I don't want to psychologize, but also the brainwash thing. The brainwashing is, you're trying to brainwash their sexuality out of them and failing, and that's why you're saying they're being brainwashed.
Yeah.
People aren't being brainwashed. She's saying it's hard to when people see our modeled openness in terms of sexuality, it's hard to get them back into the sort of fold about, treating that thing as if it's sort of some mortal sin or whatever.
This is just sheer bigotry being broadcast.
Unrefined bigotry.
Unrefined. Completely just sheer bigotry.
That they're non-binary or transgender or whatever, and what do I do? How do I stop this? And it's really, really difficult. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, I think. It's extremely poisonous.
But do you see a spiritual component to any of this? You don't have to answer that if you don't want.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I do. I don't think this makes sense at all.
No, it doesn't make any sense. And I think.
What if she didn't understand the question?
I think they're evil. And sometimes we try to.
Evil. Gay people are evil.
To break it down a lot, and we discuss why this is happening, what's happening, and whatever. And I think sometimes the simplest answer is they're just evil. They're bad people. They're just evil people, and they want to groom kids.
Yeah.
They're recruiting.
Yeah.
All right. To be clear, when a fundamentalist is asked to explain why they do what they do, they cannot. They cannot in any type of rational way. She can't talk about studies. There are no studies. She's making this all up. She knows she's on television. She's got to say this. But basically, when there's any even this is there couldn't have been a more sort of friendly environment in which to discuss this stuff. But when they're forced to even dig down an inch deep and justify what they're doing, they defer to a binary perspective on the world, good and evil, and let's not even discuss why they're just evil. They're just evil. And by that, she doesn't mean to diminish evilness. She means to diminish any type of explanation or understanding of how you came to that. They're simply evil. I'm a fundamentalist. I don't question the laws that God has said. The reason why I can't show my elbows on this TV show, Tucker, or my knees, is because God has said that's sinful temptation. And that's where I'm at. And this fundamentalist is out there just saying the gay people are just evil. And her completely unvarnished, raw bigotry is allowed to exist with special privileges. Remember, this is a person who, under the old Twitter regime, you couldn't even ban from Twitter unless like the higher ups okayed it. Here's where she talks about the influence she has with the Republican Party.
My account is very influential and effective. I mean, we've gotten about a dozen teachers fired. We're talking about bad teachers who are grooming kids. We've gotten a handful of drag shows canceled. I know, like, DeSantis' team told me that the content that I found helped with the parental rights and education bill. It helped inspire that. And I heard from other legislators stuff along those lines as well. So I know that it was really having an effect, and they were scared.
But
and
she could.
The parental rights and education bill, aka what people have called the "Don't Say Gay" bill, is what she's talking about.
And honestly, if you're really worried about grooming and child abuse, you need only to look to religious institutions. If you want to start, they say charity begins at home. If you're worried about child abuse and you're a member of the Chabad community, you should look around. Charity starts at home. Particularly, where's she? Is she in Brooklyn? Florida. Is she in Florida?
She used to live in New York, but she moved. So yeah, she's no longer here.
Just Google Chabad child abuse. Honestly, I mean, give me a break. Really. Unbelievable.
I wonder if that's how they her finally revealing her identity. Like, I wonder if it went as well as a lot of her fans. Like Glenn Greenwald, just to like name one, a couple tweets that he did promoting Raichik. This is from 2021. Quote: "If you had the mistake I made of following this account at Libs of TikTok, there's a chance you'll lose significant amounts of whatever hope you might have for humanity. It was hacked yesterday, but is now restored in all of its hideous glory." Is what he said. And then he tweeted at her, "You have one of the most difficult, hazardous, and mentally stressful jobs in America," she said to that. Glenn said to that psycho.
Wait, when was that? When were those two things? What was the difference? Let's put those two up.
That was May of 2021, yeah.
And he said both simultaneously?
He said those May 25th and May 19th of 2021.
So wait, on day one, he said like she's horrible. And then on day 5, he said...
No, he was saying she was good. So he was saying like the hideous glory is meaning like the stuff she's exposing of teachers.
Oh my God.
So he was saying it's a great account, and yeah, we can put that up.
Wow. That's really sad.
"If you make the mistake I made of following this account, Libs of TikTok, there's a chance you will lose significant amounts of whatever hope you might have for humanity. It was hacked yesterday, but is now restored in all of its hideous glory." And he also called it, like, I forget what he said, but like he's one of its biggest fans.
I can't quite follow what he's saying in that first tweet, though.
It's like it's like so good, but it'll make you nihilistic because of the way it exposes
what she's
liberals.
exposing. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know. It's kind of weird that they were, they were constantly harping on like this genital mutilation thing, like they kept bringing up.
Yeah.
But no one ever actually brings up like actual genital mutilation in the form of circumcision, which I would assume most of them are in favor of, since a lot of them are Christian fundamentalists. So it seems a little like, and then like they talk about like double mastectomies, like their genital mutilation, even though breasts are not genitals, but they make it seem like these girls are like going through like this double mastectomy, and that's such a horrible thing. And it just reminds me of like when I was in like high school, and I like knew like trans people and a lot of trans men in high school, and it like knowing the struggles they go through to fight back against their own puberty, it just makes it like I'm so happy that these days people have like puberty blockers in order to like fight it, because I don't think a lot of people really get how disorienting it is for a lot of trans boys to like go through school and they're going through puberty, and then like there's just this huge obvious thing that they don't want growing on their bodies. I knew trans boys that would like buy like chest binders, and they're literally like hurting themselves or like making themselves more physically uncomfortable every day in order to not present this other way. And they were like some of them weren't buying them with their parents' consent. They were like getting them on Amazon, because all of those things are really they're not really that hard to get. You don't really need any sort of like verification or anything. You can just get them on like Amazon or whatever, right? So
well, I agree with you. I mean, and appreciate the call. Thanks. Speaking of which, here is concerns about the genital mutilation. If you're really that concerned about other people's genitals, it is a little surprising. I don't think that Raya, what's her name?
Chaya Raichik.
Chaya Raichik is going to complain about the circumcision in a community. Some of it is actually like, I don't know specifically in which Chabad she's part of, but there are some traditions there that don't even involve like using a surgical tool.
You don't want to tell the QAnon people about some of that stuff.
In terms of like what happens with the moils, some of the moils in some ultra-Orthodox fundamentalist sects of Judaism, they don't use a knife. They use their teeth. I kid you not. Golden Oyster Cult. Chaya Raichik in this interview has exposed herself, can only be described as a moron. Tucker Carlson may be a grifter. Ben Shapiro may be a true believer, but Raichik is a dimwit. She definitely is. Well, I mean, to be fair, she lives in a community, if that's what you want to call it. Other people might call it cultish community.
A bubble
where she does not get educated. I know people who came out of this community. They don't get much education. Male or female for that matter, but particularly female.